retarded.
Wilma? Monkey, come away. Yeah. You can't be there, you're huge. Yeah. Right, wonder who else is coming. Here we go.
Oh! Oh, got one job. Yeah.
What are you doing? Can you just move a little bit bed so I can take the blanket?
I'll send you.
It will.
Ready?
Right, we're just waiting for a few more people to join us. It's going to be a busy morning. I think we're supposed to have 11 pups for this one now. It's kind of grown a bit. Oh, I don't know about you lot, but I'm shattered. You've got Lisa. What I'll get you to do, if you haven't done it already, you just put your own first name with your puppy's name onto, so you can rename yourselves. So Lisa's got it perfect. Lisa with Woody and Baxter. It just makes it easier for me because I don't remember names well, and if I need to say something to you, it's easier for me if I can just look at the screen and know who I'm referring to. So if you just change your names to your first name and your puppy's name, Sally's perfect, Sally and Quinn. If you don't know how to do it, I can do it for you. Just the standard way of getting my attention, don't forget, is to do the rapid handshake. If you don't know how to do it, I can do it for you. I'm going to put everybody on mute, just so we get the sound being a bit better. Joe, You haven't changed your name yet. So I've asked you to unmute. If you just press your screen where it says unmute. Tell me what your baby's called.
Cleo.
So try again.
Cleo.
Cleo.
Yeah.
Cleo, fab. I will rename you.
Thank you.
Joe and Cleo. Anthony. Okay, Stephanie. Hi, darling. So I'm just going to ask you, if you can you change your name to your first name and your puppy's name for me? And if you don't know how to do it, I'll do it for you. Okay, so I've just done mine for everybody, so you all know what I'm called. I think we better make a start. There should be some more coming, but so just what we tend to do, if you haven't joined us before, hands up if you're a newbie that hasn't done Zoom class with me before. Give me a wave. Has everybody been with me already? I've got some that are newbies and are supposed to be joining us. So can everybody hear me okay? So give me a little bit of feedback. Fabo, righto. So the first thing we're going to do, I want some feedback on to how you're going at the moment. So if you are happy with your puppy at the moment and it's not, you know, causing you major distress and you're not ready to give them away to the first person that comes across them and asks whether or not they can have them, then let's have a thumbs up. Okay, so I'm being distracted by people coming in. So anybody thinking that, you know, this puppy's the worst thing they ever did in their lives? No? Happy? Anybody's a bit like that? Okay, Lisa, you've got two blessings. It couldn't be any worse. Go on then, tell me all about it.
Well, actually, it's just one of them. Baxter is really biting at the minute and jumping up and biting a lot. It seems to be when we get back from walks or just before we go for a walk, and sometimes on the walk. So related to walking, I walk him separately and with Woody. So this morning I took him on his own. And I've been doing the treats when he's on the lead, and he's actually really good at it, but I think he's getting too used to the treats. He's now jumping up, biting me, like proper pouncing all the time, I think, trying to get a treat. And then he's not sniffing anything or enjoying his walk. He's just after his treat all the time.
All right, good day. Mute, that's it, fantastic, well done. So what occurs to me first is where you're placing the treat. Okay, if the treat, from the dog's point of view, if you imagine this is the dog's head, if the treat's coming from above, then they're going to want to meet it. Yeah. So what we need to do is make sure that the treat is coming, if you're delivering to the face, it needs to be coming from underneath. So you're scooping your hand under them or on the floor so that the head, the intention of the head is to go down. All right, so that's the first thing I would consider. The next thing is obviously walks are a little bit scary maybe still, so you get anxiety levels can go up and that can cause them to start to act up and to do things that we don't like. Also excitement levels, so arousal levels can go up, which increases your cortisol levels and just makes you act like a numpty. What we need to be doing is making sure that we're not punishing them in any way, that we're not getting angry with them. I've just recently shared a really nice video of a toy on the end of a long line, on the end of a lead, which is a really good way of helping your puppy to relax and enjoy being on a lead without getting overexcited about jumping up at you. So if you have a look at that, that's on the puppy training group. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of normal. I think the thing is to slow the walk down, is not to actually, when you're walking a puppy, don't intend to go anywhere. You can encourage them to sniff and slow down by scattering food, or just by standing still and letting them, you know, calm themselves down and take the environment in a bit more. I wouldn't be getting rid of the food. It's the way you use it that becomes more important. Yeah. And try not to expect that they will give attention to you at all times on the walk, because puppies just can't. And we don't want them to. We really want them to take in everything around them and really process it and really see it and really smell it. And if we're constantly nagging and saying, you must walk perfectly with me. So what you do instead is you wait until they're finished with that bit of sniffing, that little 5-foot area around you. And then when they give their attention to you, you say yes, and you give them a treat, and then you move on a little bit. And it might be that you only move on 4 or 5 feet. Yeah, so take it much, much slower. Any others? Well, before we get into the routine, any other? I've got a, you know, if you don't help me with this, I'm going to sell my puppy styly problems at the moment. All right, give me some feedback. Everybody fairly happy at the moment, sticking with it, not going to, you know. So my delinquent beastie's gone off again with Donnie. I do like to use him for demos because he still gets stuff wrong, and it means that you can see how I handle it when he's playing up, in inverted commas, when he's being a normal young dog. But that means, obviously, I've only got the angel children to be my demo dogs today. As you can see, I've labelled them Twiggy, as you should know already, the big white one, and maybe my very, very old lady, so she might not be doing too much with us. And today I thought we would focus on starting to teach your puppy to recall, to want to hang out with you when they're on a walk. Now, what we need to really think about with that is, why would they? Why would the puppy ever choose to want to be with you? Really? When you think about the fact that the world, especially at the moment, is massive, and there's so much in it, and so much interest, so many interesting things going on in it. Why would they choose you? And if we're not careful, we can very quickly become the nag, the distraction from the fun. We can very quickly become the thing that you learn to ignore because it's just irritating. And I want you to keep that very much in mind when you're taking your pup to new places. It's really important that you let them really be a dog and really have fun. And that when they do choose to give attention to you, then that's when you make a big deal of them. That's when you give them the treats. That's when you play with them. That's when you get excited with them. One thing I really want you to be aware of here is that most dogs don't really like being scrunged. You know, most dogs don't find an ear flapping a rewarding experience. So when your puppy gets back to you, be very careful not to be overly touchy, because what you can do is teach them, I want to come back to my person, but when I get there, they do something really horrible to my head. And that puts me off. I don't want to get all the way to them. Yeah? So try and stop yourself from doing that. Try and stop yourself. Try and hold your hands back. And instead, welcome them back to you with some food or with a toy or with a happy, excited voice. But less touching. Now, that's not true for all puppies. Some puppies really do like it rough. You know, everybody's different. So if you've got a puppy that really does like it rough, what I want you to think about then is, how do you want your recall to look in the future? If you want your puppy to come bounding all the way back to you and stick their paws on you when they're all muddy and grown up, then, you know, do have them jump on you and do get excited. But if they're an excitable style puppy who comes all the way back and wants you to play rough with them, get your hands down on the floor. You know, don't be rewarding them up here, rewarding them where you want them to be in the future. So recall's a little bit, we want it to be super exciting. We want it to, that you become the best thing in the environment. And what we're aiming for is, instead of you constantly nagging and calling the puppy away from good stuff, we want the pup to be listening, because like that, yeah, maybe she's going to say it. What if she says it now? What shall I, can I hear it? If I watch her, is she going to do something that might be exciting? Is it worth getting back to her? What if I just hang out and make sure I can see where she is, just in case she might call me? Yeah, instead of, oh God, not again. I was just in the middle of a really good sniff. I was just having a good time. And here she is nagging at me again. Here she is calling me away from that fun stuff. I was just about to sniff, or I was just about to read my P-mail. You know, let's not be the nag. Let's not be the reason that the puppy gets irritated. Okay, so how do we do that? Well, the first thing is, I want you to choose a recall signal. Now, their name could be used as a recall signal, but the problem with their name is you use it so often in real life, in normal life, that it becomes something that's kind of background, that if you've not used it very, very carefully to always mean amazing stuff is going to happen, then your dog can quite quickly become sort of ignoring of it, inert to it, and they can actually learn to ignore it if you're constantly nagging and irritating them with it. So pick a sound or a word, it doesn't matter, it's your own thing, but it needs to obviously be something you're happy to say in public or do in public. And usually a higher pitched tone is going to work better than a low tone. Now, I know that's hard for the guys, you know, so if you've got a bloke that's also in your family, have a discussion about what he's going to be happy to use. So for my lot then, for Dodo, his recall is just here, you know, so with the hand signal, so the body signal, and the high pitched here, like this, that's his recall signal. And he's not here, obviously, so I can do that just now without worrying that somebody's going to have a meltdown, or that I'm going to teach him by saying it to you. I'm going to teach him to ignore it. Twiggy is underneath the desk, and I'm going to use her recall signal, which is actually her recall signal, to demo to you how we do it. So I do apologize, because when you watch back the videos, and even potentially now, you might find that you have burst eardrums. Okay, don't forget with Twiggy especially, she can go 300, 400 meters in 5 or 6 seconds. So her recall signal has to be loud, and it has to be really high pitched and exciting. So yeah, you might want to turn your volume down when you watch it back. All right, so the first thing is, let's make this signal mean something to the dog. You know, it doesn't mean anything, it's just a sound, but we wanted to think it's something really good. It's something worth responding to. So the very first stage of this is that we are going to do what we call a runaway. All right, so I'm going to make space. And I'm going to get some treats, and here maybe thinks that she's playing. You're not playing. I'll trip over you, so you might have to go out. Yeah? You go now. You go on out there. Because otherwise you'll get tripped on. Twiggy. So, what we're going to do is we're going to run. So the run, literally in here, I can only do 2 steps, and at home, you only need to do a couple of steps. And we're going to start moving, and then we're going to say our recall signal. And the reason for this is when you're teaching recall, we're teaching movement. We don't want to be teaching stillness. So I want the dog already moving before I say my cue. All right? So I go, whoop, and I'm going to put a piece of food down over there. All right? So I'm going to start moving, and I go, whoop, and a piece of food goes over there. All right? So that's all I want you to do. Start moving, and then your recall cue, and then a treat. All right, so have a bash at that. See if you can get your puppies shifting in an excited way with you chasing after them. So what you should see, what you should have started seeing, is that between recalls, your puppy's now waiting for you to move. They won't go away. They're hanging out near you. They're excited in case you start to go. Okay? So now we're going to swap the order a little bit. Now we're going to say it first. So you're standing still. Yeah, now that we've got their attention and they think there's a game on, we're going to stand still. We're going to wait for them to look at us first. And then we're going to say it. And then we're going to move. And then we're going to reward. So we've changed the order round. Does that make sense to everybody? Thumbs up if you're on board. No? Okay. Ask me. Go on.
Could you just bullet point it again? Because I got confused with the order.
So to begin with, we're moving first, which gets the dog's attention. And then we're saying the cue. They're already moving with us. Yeah. And then we're rewarding. Now we're going to wait until they've already given us our attention. So they're already listening like this. They're already paying attention. Then we're going to say the cue, then move. Yeah, and then reward. Okay. So I don't want you to wait for them to sit or to be calm or anything. I want this all super exciting. Don't be adding any extra. Literally, the movement in the same direction as me is what's getting rewarded. So we don't want to wait for a sit or add anything extra. We want the excitement. Now, if you find that they're jumping up, make sure that your food goes on the floor. So that they're not, don't worry about that sit. Don't want the sit. I don't want the calm. I want to keep super excited. Chase the owner. Have that cue mean move straight away. Move in the direction of the owner straight away. Okay. So what you should be seeing is every time they hear you say it, they start to get excited and they start to want to move. Looks like you're having fun. All right, take a rest. Don't want you getting overexerted on Saturday morning. Let's calm you all down. So, thumbs up if you were seeing increased focus on you, increased response to cue, increased excitement, increased movement. Thumbs up. Yeah? Anybody got a dog who's going, oh no, don't, that's boring. Yeah, it's not boring, is it? Okay, we're going to make it even more exciting. So what we're going to do next is, now we've got our puppy already interested in us, we're going to play a little game so they don't know which way we're going to move. It's going to make them want to watch us even harder. So come here and play with me. So I'm going to keep my feet still to begin with. So my feet aren't moving, but I'm going to move the top of my body. I'm going to move it. Now look what her head does. What's she paying attention to? She's paying attention to me and she's paying attention to how I move. And she moves her body in relation to that. And what we're going to do is we're going to dodge and dive, and then we're going to toss a piece of food, not too far. We don't want them running away too far, but we want them to watch where that food goes. All right, now that's increasing focus and it's increasing interest in us. It's fun. Look at her tail. She's enjoying. Yep, and the food is going to just go one way or the other. That's what we're going to start with, okay? So we're going to go on like that. That's all I want you to do. So you get to stand still a little bit. We want the puppy really watching for which way you toss that piece of food. Now with tiny puppies, sometimes they're not terribly good at the movement towards something that's moving. So you might find for some of them, you have to then take them to that piece of food. You have to actually walk them over to it. So make sure they get each piece each time, that they're not kind of lost. And if you've got somebody that's really good at it and they're really good at tracking that food, then you can start to increase the distance. So imagine if you're out on a walk and you've called your puppy over to you, and there's other things going on in the environment that they might be interested in. This could be a really good game for keeping their attention on you. Yeah, to keep them interested in, oh, she might do this, she might do this. All right. So take a rest. Looks like everybody's got puppies that are interested in them and excited by them, which is beautiful. We're going to make it even more exciting. So this time it's a little bit of a combination of the two that we've just done. So this time we're going to be standing still and dodging and diving. And when we've got our puppy's attention, we're going to say our recall cue and then move and then toss. Okay, so we go. Dodge and dive, definitely got her attention. Woo! And I'm going to move just that couple of steps and then toss it. So again, remember what we want here is movement. We want them moving with us, moving towards us. And this is what drives that behavior. So which way am I going to go? Which way am I going to go? I'm going to go, woo, this way, looking like that. Ready? Woo! And what you should see when you start doing that, you should see as you say your recall cue, you should see your puppy go, yeah, because they start to realize it means something really good, it means something really fun. So you see that little anticipation of the fact that something fun is going to happen. Look at Quinn. Quinn's really cute because we're going dancing this way, dancing that way. And Bert as well. Oh, nice. Bert's super excited. And Woody, I think. Might be Woody or Baxter, doing brilliant well. And we've got Willow, a spaniel. Do you know how hard it is to teach a spaniel a recall? And you've got your dog going, you can't go anywhere without me. So there isn't any puppies now sitting and going, oh, you're dead boring. I don't want to be around you. Everybody's going, do it again, do it again, do it again. All right. Beautiful. Everybody happy? Thumbs up. Give me some feedback. Anybody not sure or it's not working for them or they think, God, this woman's crazy? Hot, hot, hot. All right, have a rest. Okay. So now we're going to start thinking about the fact that once the dog is engaged in the environment, it's harder for them to choose you, okay? So we want to start developing a habit of get back to the owner away from fun, all right? Now, that's actually a really hard thing to learn to do. If you've ever had kids, you'll know what it's like trying to get them back out of the sweet shop or the toy shop, you know? So we need to start that habit of come away from something that's fun, all right? And this is what we're going to do for helping with that. We're going to roll the food away from us, and as they are already on their way back to us, that's when we're going to say our recall cue. So when they're already looking at us, when they're already moving in our direction. So we're not going to call them yet while their nose is still engaged in the floor. We're going to wait until they've already started to track back, okay? And that's the hard part for a human. We tend to get overexcited and we tend to start practicing trying to call them away when they're already busy, their brain is already engaged, and then we start to lose them. They start to learn to ignore us because we're just a distraction, yeah? So Twiggy's a bit big for this in my tiny room, but we'll see if we can help you to see it. Get as far back as I can. So I'm going to roll her away with a piece of food, and as she turns, woo, and I'm going to reward her right back at my feet. Okay, roll her away, woo, and reward her right back here. Does that make sense to everybody? So she can't do the super excited skiddy movements which Dodo can do in this space. So your puppy goes away from you as soon as they've picked up that piece of food, As soon as they're on the way back to you, say your recall cue, and then we reward them at us, but at your feet. Remember, hands coming down towards them could put them off coming all the way back into you. Cleo's doing well. Cleo thinks this is the best game ever. Just, yeah. Again, if they lose it, I think Woody's lost it. Make sure he gets it, because it's just not fair otherwise. Help him, that's it. Okay, so now we can mix it up a little bit. Okay, so we can add all of those bits together, because if you always practice your recall in exactly the same way, it becomes predictable, it becomes boring. And why should the dog keep attention on something that's always the same? You know, they're not going to want to. So we can add all sorts of fun bits to this to keep the dog's attention on us. See, and I really want my keener, smaller dog to play, but I'm very aware with her arthritis, if I get her moving fast on this surface, the chances are she'll fall over and hurt herself. And my brain is going, she'd be much more fun as a demo dog for this for you, but I can't do it. All right, so here we go. Twiggy's under her bed at the minute, so I go, woo! And now I can do a little dodge and move. Yes, get it. And now I'm going to toss her in that direction. I'm going to run over here a little bit and reward her there. So the more unpredictable you can be, which way am I going to go? I'm going to toss you that way. I'm going to move this way and call you and reward you over here. Whoop. So sometimes the food is right with you. Sometimes the food is going to roll away from you as they come in with you. So it's about keeping it as much fun and as unpredictable as possible. It's about not making it boring by adding things like sit when you get to me. It's about keeping it fluid and fun. All right. So see how many different varieties and variations you can get. If you're getting it right, what you should be seeing is that your puppy's almost turning themselves inside out to get back in your direction, that they're really excited by you. Alan can't get away. You're labelled as Alan, but you're not Alan. I know this because I can tell you're a lady. Go on then. So when you first come into class, what I want you to do is you can name yourself your first name and your dog's name. And the way that you do that is if you click on your own picture, or if you're on a laptop, there's 3 little dots to the right. If you click on your own picture, there's 3 little dots top right, and you can rename yourself. Yeah, so first name and puppy's name. And it just because I have a problem, my brain will not process names. It won't remember names. So as much as I can know somebody for years and years and years and still not actually really know their name. So it causes major anxiety. So basically you're just doing it so that I won't get anxious. You know, it's awfully kind of you. All right, so problems then with recall. Take a rest. Calm your puppies down because you've just got them all excited. And the way that you calm them down is by doing slow hand movements, slow body movements, asking your puppy how they would like to be touched, where they would like to be touched, not moving your hands frantically. All right. So if your puppy's not ready to calm down, giving them something to have in their mouth will help them to calm down. So giving them a chewy or a Kong or even just a teddy bear to chew on, but you keep it still. We're not going to move it around. We're not going to get them more and more excited. All right, so we calm them all down, and then I will talk to you about prevention. So if you are wanting your puppy to learn to hang out with you and to come back to you, we need to kind of make sure that they're not finding out how much more exciting the world is than you are. Plus there's the safety issue, you know, there's the safety issue as if your puppy runs over to another dog, that dog might be aggressive. If they run over to another person, they might scare or upset that person, which means that you've broken the law, because the law is very tight now. But you only have to make somebody feel worried for them to be able to make a complaint against you. Your dog doesn't have to bite. Or your puppy might run into danger. So they might run into the road or cause an accident or, you know, all sorts of different reasons. So I'm afraid that we do have to get a little bit rotten. We do have to restrict their freedom. But with a puppy, it's really important that your pup be allowed as much as possible to go into the world and investigate the world and take as much information in as possible. Okay. So we need to be able to let them move away from us. So being on an ordinary length lead is going to prevent them from acting normally, moving normally, investigating the world the way that they should do. So we need one of these. This is a lead. It's a long line lead. Now, this is not an extension lead. This is not one of the ones that winds itself back in. I strongly advise that you do not use one of those self-winding leads with a puppy. Okay, if you want more information on that, I'm happy to give you that, but I strongly advise that you do not use one of those. But these, you do have to learn some skills on how to use them in order to use them properly. So they're a little bit irritating. Now I've made a bit of a boo, haven't I? I've chosen a black top to demonstrate the black lead with you. So I'm going to try my best to keep it away so that you can see what I'm doing. All right, so when you, can I borrow you again? Come here. Shazal, my heavens, I've just worked so hard today. Come here. So the first thing I would say about having them on a long line lead, probably best not to attach it to a collar. Probably best to attach it to a harness so that if they do suddenly get to the end of the lead and you have to stop them, then they're going to put all of that through their body rather than through their neck. Okay, we don't want them coming to a sudden stop. Now, she's obviously not got a harness on. That's because it's in the car, and anyway, it's covered in sand and it's disgusting. So, attach your dog to your lead with a harness. If your harness is not a very, very safe fit for your puppy, in other words, your pup might get out of it, I strongly suggest that you attach your harness to a collar via an extension clip. Now I can show you a picture of that in a minute if you remind me, because I'll forget. So when you are holding your lead, the aim is, come here darling, that the pup always feels loose. So we always have this loose bit between us. Yeah, so if she moves further away from me, I'm going to give her a bit more lead so that that stays loose. And if she comes towards me, I'm going to gather it so that I'm keeping this loose connection between us and we're not getting lead on the floor between us. So I don't want a pile of lead in between. So that does mean you have to gather and deliver. Now, with regards to gathering, you can go free now because that was beautifully demonstrated. Well done, because I'm off back to bed. Okay. What you have to think about here is how you gather it. Because, and this is the bit that's the hard bit to get your brain around. If you gather it into your palm like this, then the lead is going to safely pull out of your hand in an emergency. Yeah, so if your hand suddenly, if your dog suddenly takes off, your lead is going to safely deliver from your hand and you're not going to get injured. If you, however, gather it around, I have to remember to do it wrong. If you gather it around your hand like this, what happens then if your dog suddenly takes off is that you end up with broken fingers. Yeah, and I've seen some quite dramatic injuries as a result of that. So the first skill I want you to practice when you've gone and bought yourself a long lead is 2 hands on the lead at all times. One is just maintaining the distance between me and the dog so that the dog's always got that loose connection. And the other one is ready to gather. Okay, so I've got my handle. You can either wear it over your thumb or over your wrist. If you haven't got a handle, make a knot, make a little handle for yourself. Some of them don't come, so I quite like it on my thumb. We're going to gather into the palm. I've got hold of my lead into the palm. I'm going to gather into the palm like that. Okay, so I can be constantly adjusting the length of lead between me and her, and I've got this grip. Now, if I've decided that I want to have the lead locked so that the dog is right next to me because there's something going on and I don't want it to get involved in it, then all I'm going to do is I'm going to pop a loop between my fingers and lock it so that it can't move out. Yeah? Can everybody see that? So now that's quite a safe lock. That's a really strong grip. If you've been a horse rider, you'll have met this grip before. You can lock it in any fingers that you like, but it needs to be one finger through the loop. Any questions about all of that so far? All right, so the next reason that you are going to hate long lines and not want to use it is because if you don't put it away properly, if you leave it in a mess in the back of the car, the next time you come to use it, you're going to be having to fiddle with it and faddle with it, and you can't get your walk going, and it's in knots and it's irritating. Okay, so I want you to school yourselves to put it away properly every time you've used it. And the way you do that, again, I like to have my thumb through the loop. We go round and round to gather it and put it away. If you've had horses, you'll have done this with your long leads for your horses. It goes round and round and round until we end up with an extra bit. We're going to keep these loops because we're going to use them in a minute. I'm going to take that extra bit. I'm going to wrap it around itself so it locks on top of itself. When I get to this last little dangly bit, I'm going to put the last little dangly bit through those loops. So there's one set, and then I'm going to pull. Now, if you've done it properly, you will actually be able to fling that round without it coming undone. Now, when I go for my walk, while I'm on the street, I've got a normal length lead on my dog so that my dog is safe, so they can't go into the road. And when I arrive at my destination where I'm going to let my puppy go and be free and sniff and play and be a puppy, then I'm going to get this out, get it ready, and all I have to do is pop it through that loop, and now I'm ready to go. Yeah, I've already got my gathered into my hand grip. Does that make sense? When you're transferring your puppy from the ordinary lead to the long lead, I want you to really get into this idea that the dog should not be off lead at any point. So you pop one on and then you take the other off. All right. Okay, that was lecture-y, wasn't it? Lecture-y, but important. Anybody questions about that? Is everybody fairly happy? Give me a thumbs up if you're on board with me. Let's just go to gallery view so I can see everybody. Any wiggly hands? Any questions? Any? Oh God, I'm never going to use that. Hands up if you honestly think you're never going to use a long line. Be honest. Go on then. Tell me. Go on, tell me why, Joe.
Went for a walk yesterday with the puppy, let her off the lead for the first time down a track. No one there. She had a little run around, kept coming back. Perfectly safe.
Yeah. Okay. But, and I agree to a degree, like this. All right. So puppies, tiny puppies, young puppies are gonna want to stick close to you. They are aware of how dangerous the world is. They have this natural anxiety. But as they get more confident, which we want them to do, we don't want to break that confidence at all, but as they get more confident, they learn to move further away from you. So they're more likely to get into danger, and they're more likely to learn that other stuff is more exciting and interesting than you. So I do agree to a degree that you don't need it when they're tiny, while they're still wanting to hang out with you. But the second that you see that your puppy's starting to be reluctant to follow you, reluctant to watch what you're doing, it has to be their job to keep an eye on you, because they are always going to be faster, always. You know, they're going to be able to move bigger distances away from you quicker than you're able to chase them and catch them. The second that you think that your puppy's starting to learn to spend more time away from you, or their recall signal is not functioning to get them back to you, straight on a long line, and stay on that long line until you are absolutely sure. Because it only takes one occasion. Only takes one occasion for your dog to be, and think about now as well, we've got this additional risk that especially pedigree dogs are being stolen. You know, and if they're away from their owner, it's not too difficult for somebody to get their attention on a bit of food under the arm, and off they go. And it's happening. So, yeah, I hate them. I hate long lines. Don't get me wrong, but I seriously cannot condone anybody not, you know, taking that risk until you're sure. How do you know when you're going to be happy to risk letting your puppy off all of the time? Well, we have a little way of measuring it. What I would say is, on a walk, when your puppy's loose and they're sniffing, what I want you to do on that one walk, you do a maximum of 5 recall play sessions. And what I want you to do while you're doing those recall play sessions is I want you to see how often does your puppy respond correctly. And correctly means instantly pay attention to you and start moving back towards you. Yeah. If they're only scoring 3 out of 5, then really we don't want to be risking them going off on their own without that protection of the long line. If they're scoring 4 or 5 every single time you call, they're on their way back to you straight away, then you might think about risking it, but you know, not perfect. But if they're in the high 5s all of the time, then I'm going to be a little bit looser about it. I'm going to be a bit careful about what sort of environment, because if it's a busier, more dogs, more people, you know, environment, then I'm not going to risk it quite so much. So the environment is important as well. Empty field with a fence around it. Yes, in theory, you could then just let them be all by themselves. But remember, while they're doing that, if you're not practicing paying attention to you and watching you and practicing your recall games, your dog is learning a walk means ignore the owner. You know, that's what they're learning. So as much as it's nice, especially when you're tired, you take your dog, you just want them to go do dog stuff, remember what they're practicing is spending time not interacting with you and getting into that habit. So that's me, bit of a nagging session. Anybody got any questions or anything about anything else that they want to get covered while we're here? Or if not, if you're fine and you're happy, what I want then is a celebration of puppy. I want anybody got any cute or silly things that have happened over Christmas, because obviously we've had a bit of a break, something you found out about your puppy that you didn't know about pups, something that you just love crazy about your pup. Remember, this is going to be the only environment where you can properly just blurb about your dog, because everybody else is in the same book. Yeah, go on then, Beck.
Luna is now sleeping through the night in her crate and has been moved from my bedroom to the front room and is happily sleeping through the night. So we're very, very happy to get some sleep.
Well done. That's brilliant. That's nice news. And we didn't think that was going to happen, did we? You were in bits. So that's lovely. Anyone else? Go on then. Let us know, Liz.
Hi, yeah, Roma was playing with the tennis ball, but she wouldn't retrieve it. And then yesterday she started retrieving it for the first time. So she'll bring the ball back now.
How exciting.
Ooh.
Beautiful. Yeah, that's really, really good. Love it. Anyone else? Let's see if there's anyone else waving at me. Hello, Lisa.
Yeah, so Woody and Baxter have mastered their bed now. All we have to say is bed, and they run straight to their crates and sit down. They're really, really good at that. They're really good on the lead. Generally, they're quite good, apart from Baxter gets a bit excited with his treats. And I'm trying to master the recall, but they only really listen to me if they're really excited. So that's a bit of an issue. So maybe the others need to work on that as well. But yeah, they're doing really well.
Good. Brilliant. Fab, fab, fab. Anyone else? Are we all happy? All right. Is that a wave, Joe? I can't see if you're playing with your dog or if you're waving at me. No, it's all right, because your hands are down here. And all I could see was fingertips doing that. All right, so I'm going to sign off. If nobody's got anything they want to discuss, obviously you remember, always available. I know we're sometimes a little bit slow to get back with the groups and the WhatsApp chats and things, but we are constantly monitoring and attempting to find time to respond. Oh, hang on, it's a great big wave. What's going on there?
Hello.
Hey, darling.
The problem we have is we have a
an area when I'm working that she's in, because we've got another 2 dogs, so we put her in there. She sleeps lovely and she's settled because she knows when I'm working, that's when she settles down. But if we put her in there because we need to do something or go outside, so it's like a safe area for her. So if we need to put her in there to keep her safe whilst we do something else very quickly for a few minutes, she cries a lot for attention. She doesn't like being, it's not so much that she doesn't like being left, although it is, but I think it's more the fact that she's not getting her own way. She wants to be the centre of attention all the time. So it's sort of not all about separation anxiety. It's just about, you know, attention. So I've tried treating her and I can sort of nip to the loo and back, maybe 50% of the time without her crying, but she does cry a lot if we just have to go do something and put her in this safe area so that she's safe. Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. So from the puppy's point of view, when you are working, they are in the same space as you. They've learned that that's a safe situation. They know where you are. They know what's going on. But from the puppy's point of view, being in that same space, but entirely on their own, is a completely different picture. Yeah, it doesn't correlate. There's no friend in the dog's mind, completely different picture. You might as well think of it as a brand new space. So what I would do is you need to help her to learn that being there on her own is okay. And what I would do with that is I would actually teach a settle on your space, in your space in that place, and then teach her a stay. Yeah, now we're not doing stay until week 6. So, but the paperwork and the information for it are on the group. Okay, but basically you're going to teach her to settle. You're going to do that with you standing next to her, and then you're going to start to slowly increase the length of time and increase the distance, and then eventually get to the point where you can disappear. Now, what do you do in the meantime? Obviously, you're saying, well, you know, I'm human, I need to go to the loo. You can, instead of expecting them to stay there, what you could do is go to the loo, but as you're about to close the door, toss some treats behind you so the puppy's busy picking up those treats while you're doing your function. Yeah, so that they're enjoying doing what they're doing without worrying about the fact that you're away from them for a few seconds. Yeah, that's a really nice way of just dealing with it. Or if you think you're going to be a bit longer, have pre-prepared stuffed toys, or, you know, you can stuff anything basically and freeze it. And I'm just going to have to do a phone call, or I'm going to have to answer the door, or whatever. I'm going to put this into that safe space. The puppy should hopefully be engaged with that item long enough for you to then be able to get back before they panic, before they start to get upset. Does that make sense? But from the puppy's point of view, and Dodo is really bad with this, he'll as soon as I come in the office, because it's something that's normal to him and to all of the dogs, as soon as I come in the office, they get in their beds and they expect that they're not going to get any attention and they can just relax and go to sleep. But as soon as I stand up and move, they're going to want to follow me. So absolutely, I understand from his point of view, it's not about being relaxed or comfortable on its own in that space. It's about having the person there as well. And if you don't practice the person being able to leave and walk away from you and do their own thing, the puppy can't learn that. Does that make sense? Yeah. Any others before we sign off? We all relatively happy? I'm just looking at the screen to see. All right. Good. Give me some big thumbs up and a big wave goodbye. Thank you very much for giving us attention. Hope you had a great Christmas and that you're going to be happy humans with your puppies. All right. Bye.